You're listening to Journalists on Journalism, a weekly podcast brought to you by Stanford's graduate program in journalism. For more information and upcoming speakers, visit journalism.stanford.edu.
So for me, comics has always just been about telling as complicated a story as possible in the most simple terms. Visual journalism, I think, has never been more important than now, or enjoyed more prestige or success. Some of the things that comics can do, again, that other media can't, where you're trying to represent or inhabit a moment and represent a number of different details that might otherwise get left out if you presented them in a more chronological or linear form. I'd been involved in comics as a hobby for years, and I started a comic at Cambridge, but it was, for me, that was all about single panel cartooning, which is something you often see, obviously, in editorials and opposite op-ed pages. But for me, it's always been about telling longer form stories. So this, as I mentioned, was done with a Fulbright Fellow, Olga Trusova, and she spent a year in Eastern Europe interviewing trafficking victims and working with NGOs. Part of the goal of Borderland was to show that human trafficking is no longer just a sex trafficking issue, that it's across all genders. Children are particularly vulnerable nowadays. So here it's more like the simultaneity. I was trying to translate this woman's testimony on exactly what it felt like to go into what was a strawberry picking plant with the overwhelming sensation from the pesticides and the ammonium nitrate and the other sort of agricultural materials she was exposed to. One of the reasons we're seeing such an explosion in both graphic novels and this sort of work is the accessibility to tools. Like Final Cut Pro, all you need is a scanner and Photoshop, and InDesign if you want to lay out your comics for publishing as well. The goal of my Knight project is to combine utilize the framework of comics with the panel-to-panel transitions and captions and condensing down large amounts of information to visual form. With a multimedia approach that will allow me to embed audio and video within the same page. I was just trying to, capitalize on the sheer amount of smartphones that are out there and try and think about how I could combine the links to sources as well as the visual interface and the sort of how beautifully graphics appear on iPhones and iPads. The idea is here, see, that on this sort of format it's far more tactile. So you would start here and read each panel like that, and then you could go this way and explore. And then my idea was, you could press this and hopefully, with any luck, it would play the same video that would be embedded within the story.
You've been listening to Journalists on Journalism. Find more speakers at journalism.stanford.edu.